Hello, welcome to Elbow & Associates, and I hope you're having a great day thus far. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, and I'm Jeff Stauffer, Community Relations Director with the firm, and welcome to our webinar today, our wellness series, and our topic for discussion is maintaining your reserves in changing times. And our special guest presenter today is Dr. Michelle Fritsch, who has led all of our wellness series presentations over the years, and Michelle is a wonderful friend of the firm and many others through her work in retirement wellness, and it's a pleasure to welcome her back today. This is, I would say, Michelle, our 20th presentation or so at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, so as we want to be as interactive as possible today, we're going to unmute attendees when Michelle's looking for your feedback and thoughts. So while you can still post your questions and thoughts in the chat and the questions panel, feel free to speak up and let your voice be heard. And you received the presentation slides by email yesterday to take notes on them if you wish. And they're also available in the section marked handouts to download at this time in the handout section. And everyone will also receive a post-webinar feedback email right after the presentation. So please take just a couple minutes to fill out this quick survey and I'll approach your thoughts about the presentation. And if you have topic ideas for another wellness series discussion, please feel free to include those as well. And here at Elbow & Associates, we always want to be a resource for your family. We work every day with individuals and families with the ideals of client education, collaboration, and compassion in mind, and always available to discuss your family's needs and your planning needs, whatever those may be, and look forward to being a resource to you. And what does estate planning have to do with health, healing, and low stress? Well, actually everything. So as Steve Elville frequently says in his presentations, planning is always goal-oriented and goal-driven, and many times comes down to love and ensuring that you're taking care of the ones you love and yourself, and you should make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's very, very important. So planning ahead does just that. So at this time, I want to offer Michelle a brief intro, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. So Dr. Michelle Fritsch is a board-certified geriatric clinical pharmacist with a passion for healthy aging and education. She is a specialist in medication use, prevention, and retirement transition for people over 60. She is the founder of Retirement Wellness Strategies, a one-on-one concierge program, planning portfolio program. I've done this every time, Michelle. I've messed up that part of your bio, I'm sorry. And co-founder of Propel Comprehensive Wellness. She works with a broad definition of health: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social, aligned with purpose in each phase of life. Her career has included academia, advanced interprofessional geriatric teams, creating a nonprofit within a health system that served the underserved, medical missions, student services for the underserved in Baltimore, and much, much more. And you were kind enough, Michelle, to come up and visit us and be our featured speaker at our recent client care program event in, I guess it was March at this point. So really, well, actually, it was 2024, wasn't it? The last part of 2024. So that shows how much time just flies by. I can't keep track of it. But it was great to see you, and it's good to see you again today. So welcome. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. And the segue you gave earlier was perfect for this. So glad to be back. Thank you for the invitation. Welcome everyone that's here. I want to tell you that Jeff and I talked about this and planned this 2 or 3 months ago, not having any way to know just how rapidly things are changing right now. So planned ahead, and the timing to me seems like it's perfect. I'm going to ask a favor of everyone. If you have the news on, would you please go turn it off? It's going to be a very big distraction, and we're going to talk about kind of how and why. So I think you're going to get the most out of this if you'll turn off the news and all the background stuff. And my goal today is one that you're much calmer and more centered and more focused and able to kind of concentrate on things when we're finished. And another goal is that you have a chance to express the stresses that you're feeling and take some very direct action to relieve those. And that you really understand the direct connection between stress and your health in so many different ways. So we're going to break all of that down, but I promise I won't keep you for 3 days. We'll keep an eye on the time. And if you've ever heard me speak before, you know how much I love it when we are interactive. So I encourage you to fully participate in the activities, and I will stop frequently and would love your comments, your questions, your feedback, whatever it is you want to share. So let's get started. Let's start by calming down. I'm going to encourage you to use all of your senses for a few minutes. And once we've done that, then we're going to just think about how our day got started and then make some plans for how the rest of the day will go. So to get started, I encourage you to uncross your legs, put your feet flat on the floor. You'll probably get the most out of it if you actually slip your feet out of your shoes and put your feet on the whatever flooring you've got, your carpet or your hardwood or whatever's under your feet. Kind of feel that. The first thing I want you to do is look around and just kind of take in all of the things around you, and in particular, take note of the things that kind of make you smile. What are the things within your line of sight that bring back fun memories or have really fun colors, nice pictures, decorations that you have? Look around and pick out the good stuff. Even the things you probably ignore most of the time. Don't even think about them anymore, but it was sure fun when you first picked them out. As we do this, I'm going to encourage you to take really deep breaths, to the kind where you're able to fill your chest, fill your belly, like really big breaths, slowly, and blow them out slowly. Now I encourage you to shut your eyes. We're going to focus on other senses, the ones that we don't tend to use quite as much. So with your eyes closed, use your ears. What do you hear? And I find, do this, I'm going to be quiet for a little bit so you can really not only hear the things that are closest to you, but concentrate and hear what else you can hear that's even further away. Now, what do you smell? Same things. If you are a food connoisseur or a wine connoisseur, you learn to be able to use your nose to differentiate scents. So you might smell 10 or 12 or more different things if you really kind of concentrate. What do you taste? I did this with children once, and one of the children was like, "Oh, I didn't brush my teeth today." So what are the tastes in your mouth? And then what do you feel? If you're sitting, what are you sitting on? What are your feet touching? What are your hands touching? And now that you've checked in with all of your senses and you've been breathing deeply, I have a question for you to get us started. I want you to think about your morning. How did your day get started? How did you wake up? Was it natural or an alarm clock? Were you rushed or were you calm? Do you have a standard morning routine, or is it varied by the day based on the demands of the day, or Maybe you've got small children in your home or animals that kind of can dictate how your day gets started. And what, if anything, did you do today to really prepare yourself for the day? Physically, getting up, getting dressed, getting showered, whatever you did along those lines. But what about mentally and emotionally, spiritually, socially? What are some other things you did to start your day? And if it felt chaotic, when we're finished, I want you to rethink how maybe you could start your day differently. So thank you for that. I'm going to walk through just a couple more things, and then I want to stop, and I would love to hear your experience with this and some of the questions. Like I said, when we planned this and put it together, things were different than they are today. And for those of you that are working for the government, I just want you to know that I'm aware that this is a big day of potentially a big decision that you're facing. So what are the things changing in your personal world, the things that are impacting you the most? And I want you to kind of think about what are the three biggest changes or the biggest uncertainties that you are facing, you personally are facing right now. And now think about what are the ones you can control. The ones that there's something that you could do today, you could do as soon as we're finished, that would make an impact. And what are the ones that they're happening and you might not want them to be happening, but there's not a thing you can do about it right now. And I want you to sort of mentally or on a piece of paper make a list. What are those uncertainties you're facing, the ones that are impacting you the most? And what are the pieces of that that you can do something about? And what are the pieces that you can't? And then I want to share a really insightful statement. And I want to kind of put it in context as to who this person is. So I'm fortunate to have known someone for many, many years who in my profession was one of the top people nationally in my profession. Everybody who's a pharmacist of any kind knows who this person is. She's been in that role for many years. Like I say, everyone knows her. And in that role, she had big international influence within healthcare of across all the health professions. Everyone knew who she was, all those big leaders, and she was at the table making decisions. She had great influence all throughout the country and in healthcare decisions around the world. And then she retired, and she's been retired now for a year, a little bit more, and is very distraught with a lot of things that she sees happening. And now she's not in control anymore. Her influence is still pretty big compared to most of us, but it's not what it was. And she shared something so insightful last week where a friend had shared with her, what's the next right thing you can do at the end of your hand? Can't boil the ocean. You can't impact what's going on in other parts of the world. You can't impact what's going on in the country right now directly. But what is something tangible that's right, that's good, that you could do next? So I would love to stop there and get your feedback. You can put it in the chat or come on and talk with me.
So everyone is unmuted at this point. Feel free to speak up if you'd like. And we have a initial thought here. You can make calls, write letters, organize others.
Brilliant. Yes. The things that you can do. What else? Even outside the political realm, just in your home or in your neighborhood, in your community, what are some things that you could do?
As somebody said, pray.
Mm-hmm. Another one. There was a study done that is it the Nielsen ratings that does the television statistics? I think it's Nielsen. They came out with one right before the pandemic hit. So like the very, very beginning of 2020. And they showed that after age 65, the average person watched television for over 7 hours a day. That's the average person, which means half the people watched even more than 7 hours a day. It's difficult to find things on television that are uplifting, that are good, that make you feel good about yourself, make you feel good about the world. And so if it's a lot of negativity that you're consuming, it is very hard to balance that. So one thing you can do that I highly encourage you to do is minimize how much television you watch, especially the news, because the news people are incentivized to make it as egregious, as big, as terrible as they can to get your attention. And so to consume that all day, I really do not think is the way our brains were created. It's a lot to take in, and it's very hard to balance it with good things. So certainly keep up to date if you want to keep up to date with what's going on, but you can probably get that from watching the news for an hour once or twice a day, and ideally not right before you go to bed. So what do you think? I usually get feedback on that.
We have another person from your original question about going into nature.
Yes.
We have persons say, I do minimize television. I rarely watch television, but I do read newspapers to stay more informed.
Okay. But that's sort of like one-stop shopping, if you will. You go in, you see what's going on, and then it hopefully is not something that you read over and over all day. All right, let's go a little bit further. How do you manage the things you can't control? Kind of along the same lines. And Jeff, you mentioned a book. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. So yeah, I've been reading a lot of books over the past many months to try to control some things a little bit better. And the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff, is something I just finished a couple nights ago, and it's been extraordinarily helpful to me. It was written in 1997, but it still is absolutely applicable today. And it really helped me center myself and realize what's the most important in our daily life and life in general. And the big takeaway among many, the biggest one is I walked away realizing that life is not an emergency. As I mentioned to Michelle before, as we were talking, life is not meant to be lived as an emergency. There are some things that seem very urgent and important, and can be time consuming at the time, but really, if you step back and think of it, there are very few things that are actual emergencies. So if you kind of live a life where you feel like everything's an emergency, or you're always in an environment where that is suggested that things are always emergencies, you really take a step back and a year from now, what was the result of that emergency when, April 15th, 2025, probably not a good choice because that's tax day, but would you even remember what the emergency was, 3 months or 6 months or a year from now? So really just is a great book. I encourage everybody to give that a read. And it's been a big help to me.
I love that. As humans, I think it's just in our nature that we take things and then we go to the worst case scenario. We make it really big, really, really terrible. My child is going to go travel Europe, and oh my goodness, my mind goes to all the things that could be wrong with that, rather than putting it in perspective of, wow, what an opportunity. What things she will learn, how her perspective will change, trying to balance it with the good. Certainly I want her to be smart and safe, but not dwell on all the could happen kind of things. Or, right now a lot of people are thinking about finances. What if you run out of money? What will be the situation of everybody around you? You're going to help each other out. If we all run out of money, if the money just poof is gone tomorrow, we're going to help each other through it. We're going to find a way through. You won't be there alone, and the worst case probably won't be as bad as we might think it is. So how do we put it into some sort of perspective? One of the things that I'm watching happen with all of us is that we tend to run out of our reserves. And be honest with yourself. When you're depleted, when you've kind of given your last thing, what are you like? I can tell you, for me, I get kind of surly. You probably don't want to be around me when I've sort of used all of my energy, all of my caring, all of my ability to problem solve, all my ability to think straight. I tend to make little problems big when I've run out of reserves. I tend to not be the nicest person to be around. So if you picture your day like a bucket, and it's full of water. Well, it could be full of water. If you took the time in the morning to kind of prepare for your day, to spend some time in prayer or meditation, if you're well rested from a good night's sleep, if you do those things that kind of get you going in a way that is positive and hopeful for your day, then your bucket is completely filled to the brim. But throughout the day, water's going to slosh out. You're going to give water away. Every time somebody cuts you off in traffic, that's going to take some water out of your bucket. Every time you walked out the door, you got a block away, you forgot something, you had to go back and get it. That's going to take some water out of your bucket. One of your coworkers is being surly and difficult to get along with. That's going to take water out of your bucket. Your kids call and their furnace broke and they don't know what they're going to do and they're trying to work through a crisis. That is going to take some water out of your bucket. Watching the news is going to take a lot of water out of your bucket. So knowing that that's happening, how do you recognize, oh my goodness, my bucket's almost empty? Does anybody have anything they want to share that, boy, this is how I am when my reserves are low? And then most importantly, does anybody have ways that they recognize that and they put water back in as they need to throughout the day? Jeff, can you hear my husband?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was on mute there. We have somebody that says, I want to eat and watch Jane Austen films.
Yes.
Also, from a couple minutes ago, reading that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, found that helpful too. And another, this title's interesting actually. It just kind of made my ears perk up even more. suggest reading Don't Believe Everything You Think.
Oh,
I love that.
our worst enemy is between our ears, right? All of our thoughts. Studies have shown that 80% on average, from being able to talk to people and figure out what they're thinking, 80% of our thoughts are negative and 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. So not only do we tell ourselves negative things, we do it on repeat.
Hey, Michelle. So one thing I learned the other day, obviously we all breathe every single second of every single day. How much do we actually, until I just made that statement, how much do we actually realize that we're breathing on a daily basis, every second? At the same time, we also are thinking nonstop on a daily basis throughout virtually the entire day, and we don't realize it. We have something like 50,000 thoughts go through our head every day, and we don't realize most of them, but we're always thinking about things. And thoughts can turn into things sometimes. And a lot of those being negative thoughts, if they're negative thoughts, they can really affect our mood and our mindset. So really working on techniques to be able to control those thoughts that creep in and realize if they have merit or if they're just noise, I think is really important and a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know this, a tool that I use frequently is called the Life Purpose Scan. And that's what it does. It kind of helps us figure out where's our negative self-talk. And then the tool doesn't tell you what to do, but it guides you through questions to help you figure out, oh boy, I do think negatively about that, and help you flip it to something more positive so you can conscientiously decrease those negative thoughts. Some things to think about that can help. One is music. So I challenge you to take a few seconds, think about what music really brings you joy, peps you up, puts you in a good mood. Maybe it's from your heyday, the music that you loved the most as you were kind of coming out into the world, or music you've acquired later that just really, really makes you happy, makes you want to dance. And then think about, what is the music that just calms you down? You listen to it and it quiets all of that negative thought, and it just really either brings you positivity or just general quiet and calm. So list 2 kinds of music for yourself. Makes you want to dance and calms you down. And keep in mind that anytime that your reserves are low, that's something that could be a go-to. Just play one of those favorite songs, whether you want to be picked up or you want to be calmed down. Another one's movement. You don't have to go to the gym to move your body, but wow, movement can make a big difference in your mood, your thoughts, the cortisol, the adrenaline and such in your brain. Movement just really opens that up. So we're going to try some of that. I want you to stretch. Do a really, really big, wonderful, feel it all throughout your body stretch. Roll your shoulders, because boy, do we tend to hold a lot of tension in our shoulders. Move your neck, another place that we tend to hold a lot of stress. And then same thing as before, kind of uncross your legs, uncross your arms. Close your eyes and breathe deeply and think about, how's your body feel? If there's anything that hurts, kind of move it, relieve the tension there. One of my favorite things is, again, if you can take your shoes off really stretch your feet. Bring your toes up as high as you can, and then squeeze them down tight. And bring your toes back up. Move your ankles in circle. Put your feet, let your ankles move your feet in circles. Go both directions. Wherever else is feeling tight, just kind of move it. Sometimes that relieves some of that tension. We don't even realize that we've been hunched in one position, or we're so worried we've got everything clenched. And boy, to let go of that. Another beautiful thing, either on yourself or someone else, is to massage. Massage your hands, massage your feet, massage your head. This is one of my favorite things when I'm really stressed out, to use this. Oh, it feels so good. These you can get at the dollar store, and they're very helpful. So think about your body and how you hold on to stress, and what are things you can do to release those. Even if you don't realize you're stressed, it's been a couple hours, you've been busy, you've been running errands, getting groceries, at the computer, watching TV. Take that time to really move and check in with your body. Move it all around, relieve that tension. Can be a helpful thing. And then, how much quiet time do you spend per day? It is easy to hit the ground running and go until bedtime. You fall into the bed and you cannot sleep because your mind is still going. Your body is responding to all the activity that it's had all day. Or you've been bored all day and just sitting in a chair or on the couch or in the bed, and then you try to switch gears into sleep mode and it's not happening. So how much intentional quiet time do you spend per day? No distractions, no TV, no radio, no nothing, that you get into your quiet space. And spiritual health is one of the really key parts of our overall health, whatever that is for you. And I'm down here in North Carolina. There's a physician that did a lot of research, who looked at prayer, spirituality, connecting with others on a spiritual level, was connected to better health. It reduced the risk of a number of disease states, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But it also helped people heal from pneumonia, from cancer, from cardiovascular, they had a heart attack. They healed more effectively when they had some tap into their spiritual health. Could be prayer, could be meditation, but it involved quieting the mind and being focused outside of themselves. It's very easy in today's society to be on the move so much you don't even think about seeking quiet time. But yet it's something you could do anytime, technically. You could do it in the morning, you could do it at night to relax before bed, you could do it when you're out in nature, you could do it in the middle of the grocery store. Just kind of stop for a little bit and shut out all the noise if you need to calm back down. Because when our brain is in that go mode, we tend to use, this is a whole other talk that we could go into, Jeff, but we tend to use the fight or flight part of our brain, which is back here near our brainstem. It's a tiny little part of the brain. But when we're there, we're not using this part of our brain, which is where we're logical and creative and problem solving and able to calm down and think things through. So if you ever find yourself in that, oh my gosh, overwrought, going too fast, can't stop and think things through, pull in the quiet. Try to let your brain calm down so that you can get back to this part.
Michelle, we have somebody that says, I actually spend 50% of my time in silence.
But can I ask, on purpose, like in a purposeful way, or you find that there's just nothing to engage you, and you feel lonely in that silence? Is it good silence or is it lonely silence?
I'm not lonely. It gives me time to listen to nature, to think, to
Yeah.
read. I actually have to force myself to engage with others. So
So you enjoy the silence.
I love it. Yes. Thank
I was
you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I was going through a really, really difficult time that led to a really difficult decision several years ago. But I went on my own silent retreat. It's kind of weird, but I called ahead to this Airbnb, and I told them that I just needed silence for 36 hours, and that I wasn't trying to be rude in any way, but that I really needed this silent period. And oh my goodness, that was refreshing. I was able to actually get into this part of my brain, think through the situation, do my pros and cons list, and really come up with good, healthy decisions moving forward. But boy, I had to get silent to even begin to get there. Other feedback about that? All right, I'm going to talk about how this relates to health. Oh, did someone start to say something?
No, we can move forward.
Okay. I have a question before we dive in. Do you fear being transparent? And this kind of leads into what we're going to talk about next time in May. When we're afraid to let other people see us, when we're afraid to let anybody in, when we feel like we've got to, that whole social media thing, you got to look good all the time and make the world think that everything's absolutely fantastic in your life. That's not true for anybody, no matter what you see on social media. Do you fear letting people see the real you? And that can be hard, especially I want to hear from those of you in leadership positions or who feel like it could be used against you in your place of work, in your family. It can be hard, but if you could find even one or two people with whom you could be your real self, that is another way to calm and manage stress. Let me explain why. Stress and fear, it is very easy to get caught up in those. Very easy. It just feels like all the messaging around us is about stress and fear. So why does it matter? It's there, it's around, it's part of our lives. Why do we care? Well, it has a very, very direct impact on your health. So I just wanted to walk through this. We've probably talked about this before, but I just feel like I can't reiterate it enough. One way to know that you're not managing the stress well is your fuse gets shorter. Things that used to didn't bother you, or when you're having a really great day, things that you're just going to blow them off, it's no big deal. On those days when your reserves are low, the stress is eating at you, you're going to snap quicker. You're going to get angry. You're going to get impatient. You're going to say biting words that you would normally not say. You're going to notice it in your behaviors and your activities. Now, ideally, we want to recognize this and take action to fill our bucket back up and to remove our stress before we get to this point. But a lot of days, it's easy to run out and get to that point where you're just snappy. You're just angry and snappy. So then stress eating and drinking, the person that said that they like to watch the Jane Austen and eat, that happens to a lot of us. And I think, my goodness, we saw the impact of that during the pandemic, where a lot of people were doing stress eating and drinking. There is a tendency when we're stressed and we can't manage it other ways to misuse substances. whether it be cannabis or alcohol or tobacco or doesn't even have to be a substance, but like pornography or anything addictive that you do repetitive, video games, movies, just getting lost in something other than your actual reality. Anything that will take your mind away from that, or at least dull the sensation of the stress. Obviously, it's healthier to manage the stress in other ways, so that you don't consume substances or activities that could be harmful. One of the best ways to know if we're managing our stress is whether we're getting any sleep. And if you're ever interested, you can reach me or reach me through Jeff. I've got so many ways to help you manage your sleep, because sleep is the #1 thing that will fill your bucket for the next day. When you've been deprived of sleep, you start the day with your bucket half empty and your fuse shorter and more likely to not eat healthy kind of things. It just kind of sets you up to have a difficult day. So sleep, so important, and a sign that you've found ways to calm and manage your stress. And then poor coping strategies. I think about it as, are you somebody that feels like you are constantly trudging uphill in the snow against the wind, or that you've got the wind in your back and things are going well? When the wind's at your back, you tend to cope with whatever comes your way. The next thing is something you're going to be able to manage, and it's not going to bowl you over. It's not going to stop you in your tracks. But we often find ourselves in a place where we're like, I can't handle one more thing. That's when we know that our reserves are pretty well run out. What can we do to go back and calm ourselves and fill those back up? So these are the things that we can kind of see, our behaviors, things that we can see. Internally, when we're not managing stress, all of our organs, everything inside of us is feeling it. And so some of the ways it shows up in like a medical review is inflammation. So arthritis is worse. If you've got any of those autoimmune disorders, any of them, if you've got it, you'll recognize it when I say it. Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, this dysautonomia, the long COVID that a lot of people are experiencing, Sjogren's, sclerotic areas in your lower extremities, just so many different things. If your stress is not well managed, those flare. My goodness, they can get so much worse. But not only that, even if we don't have those autoimmune conditions, inflammation's accumulating on the inside. It increases our blood pressure. Anything that's going to increase the blood pressure is going to cause the heart to work harder, and it's going to make the heart a little bit floppier, which puts us at risk of heart failure over time. It makes our veins and arteries squeeze tighter. And when they do, they're shooting that blood faster through the kidneys. Over time, the kidneys can't keep up. And so you start to experience renal failure. Over time, the heart can't keep up. You start to experience heart failure. Over time, it's too much pressure to the brain. You put yourself at risk of mini strokes or full strokes. And so that feels like nothing. You might not even know that your blood pressure is going up, but when it does, it puts us at risk. Blood sugar goes up, risk of diabetes, and that sometimes is related to our stress, eating, and drinking as well. But with diabetes comes the risk of heart disease and all the other things. Our depression and anxiety, there's plenty around us to make us feel depressed and anxious. Are we able to manage it? For most of us, these calming techniques, managing the stress, actively managing the stress and keeping our reserves up is enough. For others, depression and anxiety is another chronic medical condition. But all of these strategies, in addition to the rest of your medical care, can make a big difference in your ability to manage it and still be able to go out and do what you want to do over time. And then this is where the newer data is coming in, and my goodness, it feels like study after study right now is showing this, that when we don't manage this stress over time, our immune system is weaker. So in the short term, you notice you're much more susceptible to colds and flu and COVID and RSV and all the ick that's going around in these viruses. And even more importantly, it increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias and cancers. So this is not something that we want to ignore. It's not something we want to take lightly. So I know a lot of times people think it's like it's so woo-woo talking about breath work and breathing and calming yourself, because we didn't grow up that way. I know I didn't. I did not grow up in a environment that encouraged you to be in touch with your body and be in touch with your stress and manage it. But we've learned from coming from those times when we didn't do it, that there are a lot of advantages to changing. No matter where we are in life, changes can reduce this cycle and reduce our long-term risks. So let me stop there and see what questions or comments anyone has.
Thanks, Michelle. So we have the nice lady that spoke earlier said, I slightly fear it, but I'm an open book. I'm aware that some avoid me because of that openness, but it's who I am. Next comment is, I'm caregiver for my mom who has Alzheimer's. This all resonates with me so much, and I need to find calm stress management.
Yes. Being a caregiver is so difficult. If I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks, Michelle.
So we feel like this is one of the most proactive things you can do. Find the calm, whether that's turning off the TV, turning on the music that you love, finding ways to relax yourself so that you get really, really good sleep, giving yourself some time in the morning to get your day off to a good start, moving your body throughout the day. There's just all the things we talked about can be your stress busters. And we've seen have a huge impact on your health moving forward. So now, Jeff, I kind of want to set up what we're going to talk about next month. Is that okay?
Absolutely, please.
I think it's like the next step in all of this. Are you somebody, and thank you for the person that said that you tend to be open. Are you somebody who tends to share when something is happening in your life that is not good, and you're like, oh my goodness, that could be a warning. I could help other people not fall into the trap I was in? Or are you someone who operates more from a shame, like, oh my God, I made that mistake and I'm not going to let anybody know. I'm going to completely keep that hidden and make sure that nobody finds out. Not surprisingly, there's a huge health impact when you make that decision. Those that are willing to share and kind of help other people avoid the same pitfalls, those that are open to, yep, I made a mistake and I'm going to own it, and these are the steps I'm going to take, they tend to have a lower stress level, and they tend to navigate even the bad stuff, even the mistakes they make, much better than those that keep it all bottled up and say, nope, the world needs to think I'm perfect. I'm never going to let them know. So I encourage you to do an internal audit. Which do you lean to do? Do you tend to share, or do you tend to hang on to it? While you're thinking about it, I'll share a story. I was speaking to a group, it was a church group, and there were some people in there who'd been leaders of really, really big companies, but were now retired. Most of the people in the room were now retired. And one of the men said, oh, if I've got a bad day or something I've got to work through, I just keep it to myself. Nobody else needs to know, needs to be brought down by stupid things that I do or troubles that I'm trying to work my way through. And one of the other men, so these are two men, the other men looked at him and said, "How dare you? I am going to get such fulfillment out of helping you, and you just robbed me of the opportunity. You didn't even give me the choice of whether I wanted to come alongside and help you through that or not. You know, please call me. You're going to help me to be able to help you by calling me," if that makes sense. So how often do we keep things to ourselves when those around us would love to help us? Or how often would you like to be the helper if your friends would only share with you what they need?
We have a comment here that says, I share my challenge is seeing myself as competent, which of course I am.
I'm gonna say that again. So I struggle to see myself as confident.
He says, I do share. My challenge is seeing myself as competent, which of course I am.
Competent.
Yes, competent.
Oh. Do we not self-doubt? What do they call that? They call that imposter syndrome. How often we feel like, oh well, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know as much as everybody else. Anybody relate to that? Like you stop yourself when in reality you're going to do a really good job doing that thing.
Michelle, one thing I have found to be very helpful, I'm not an expert by any means, but one thing I found helpful is to learn to be a better listener. And kind of along those lines that you just mentioned, how many times do we as individuals hear somebody talk, and instead of actually listening and understanding what they're saying while they're talking, all we're thinking about is how we're going to respond to that person and express our thoughts instead of being present and listening intently to what they have to say. And then right when they're finished, we jump right in, but instead perhaps taking a second and taking a deep breath and gathering your thoughts and then responding, in kind to that person or situation. So I think that's been something that's been very helpful as well. It could be helpful to others.
We could do a whole session on that.
Yeah.
The importance of good listening, because as a society, we don't tend to do that. And a piece of that is being comfortable in the quiet space, rather than figure out your response while the person's talking. Just let there be some silence while you think it through. How hard is that for everybody? Yeah, active listening is definitely an art form. It is something that I think very few people are born with. We've got to work on it. Same with conflict resolution. It's a skill that you've got to work at. It doesn't tend to happen naturally. All right. Well, I have a final thought. And I want you to put it in context of everything we've talked about keeping your reserves up, recognizing when you're almost depleted, being more actively engaged with the stress and fear around you, and taking personal action to minimize that. And I hope that you feel like you're walking away with a really full toolbox of things that you can now go try and use. And keep in mind, so many of them, even if you're in the middle of a difficult conversation, you can be using a lot of these. The other person's talking, you're getting angry. The deep breathing, the kind of checking in with your body, rubbing your hand, so many things you can do. If they kind of bring your attention back to calming yourself, keep in mind, I hope you can use them anywhere, anytime, anything that's going on in your life, so that you keep those stress levels way more steady. So here's my last thought. Those who can't be vulnerable are actually the most vulnerable of all. And so next time I want to talk about some scams. Unfortunately, for every good piece of technology and every good move forward, there are going to be the bad guys who kind of use it against us. And that is happening in a big way right now, especially targeting people who struggle to be vulnerable. It's like they've got the magic combination of how to get in and figure out where your vulnerabilities are and and trick you and scam you. And so, not to be all negative, we're going to come back and on how to manage these things, but I want you to know some things that are happening right now that are specifically these online romance scams that are robbing people of billions of dollars. So if that's okay, I'd love to kind of take this to that next step and help you learn how to protect yourself and the people around you with these rapidly growing scams. So love to answer any more questions. Ellen is so sorry that she wasn't able to join us today. Hopefully she can come next time. And I'm open to whatever feedback or questions, Jeff.
Hey, thank you, Michelle. I just saw Ellen at the Brain Injury Association of Maryland conference Thursday and Friday of last week. She was presenting there. It was great to see her. I always look forward to welcoming her back as well. So let's say this is a great time for any final questions or thoughts that you have from Michelle, and really appreciate everyone who was listening and participating today. Boy, Michelle, I could stay on here for another few hours and listen and talk about this stuff. And I think we uncovered about 5 new topics for our upcoming presentations together. So we've got
It's so rich, so deep. Yes.
It is very much so. As we
May
wait
I-
for any final, as we wait for any final questions, talk a little bit about what we have upcoming in our webinar series. So April 23rd, we have our advisors forum, open to everybody, but more geared towards our financial advisor community. April 25th, got a real treat. We have Lily Hummel, who's the leader of our Rockville office, where I am today. If you haven't been here, it's beautiful. A lot of really beautiful artwork on the walls that Steve Elville got. So Lily's going to be presenting along with Courtney Haycoop, who is a chartered special needs consultant. They're going to be talking about special needs planning, estate and financial planning in unique circumstances. So this is part 2 of a series that they're offering. You don't have to have seen the first one to get a lot out of this one. But the first one was just overwhelmingly successful. So looking forward to that. And then on May 9th, we're back with Michelle and possibly Ellen talking about ever-evolving scams out to get us, more sophisticated ways with higher stakes. So we've done presentations about financial scams targeting older adults and identity theft in the past. It's been a good while since we've done that, and they've always been extremely insightful and helpful. So spread the word, and hope to see you then, if not before. So I'll send out the video from today, presentation slides, and some other information for Michelle as well. And last thing I want to mention is Michelle and I have been talking for a while, and for client care program members and those that are thinking about the client care program here at Elville & Associates, we are going to be offering some special discounts thanks to Michelle and Mr. Elville as benefits of being part of the client care program and Propel Comprehensive Wellness. So we'll have more information about that within the next few days. Sending it out to our client care program members and everybody that's interested. But we'll be offering Propel Comprehensive Wellness through the Elville & Associates Client Care Program. So Michelle, looking forward to working with you on that. And I know you're going to be a wonderful resource to so many people here at the firm and beyond. So thanks for all you do. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So a couple other thoughts here as we wrap up. Can you please give the name of the book that you recommended? Thanks very much.
Is that your book about the don't sweat
yeah,
the small stuff?
Yeah, so it's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. Michelle, I know you have it right in your office too. Was there another one that was mentioned, I think?
Yes, and now I can't remember the name of it.
It's
And
don't
Yeah,
believe
well,
everything
it's,
you say or everything you think. Don't believe everything you think.
thank you for that. Yes.
thank you, Barbara. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna
And
look
if
that one up because I
you
just
read
finished the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff one. I'm looking for something else to read. So, very good. And another comment, I usually go to sleep listening to classical music, but wake up listening to the news. I'm going to start waking up listening to music to start my day off with less upset or being less upset. Great
great
thought.
thought.
And Michelle here says, thank you, Michelle. A wonderful hour spent with you. And I concur with that. So,
Thank you.
all right. Michelle, we'll call this one a wrap. Thanks to you, Michelle. Thanks to everybody for being part of our wellness series and webinar series. And anything that Michelle or we here at the firm can do for you, certainly reach out, and I'll be sending out my follow-up message here this afternoon. Hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Michelle. Take care.